Just a few hours left before Estadio do Dragao plays host to this year's Champions League final. An all-English affair that sees the newly crowned Premier League champions Manchester City take on Chelsea. The game promises to be a really interesting affair contested between two teams that really deserve to be where they are. It's quite interesting to notice that everything happening at one football club has consequences for another club, even if the two might not be remotely connected. This is why we really need to discuss top stories before we jump right into our grand Champions League preview. Before we get to it, make sure to become part of our community if you want to stay informed and get to know some unique things about the game on a regular basis. So, let's get down to it. Zidane leaves Madrid. We all saw it coming, didn't we? Chelsea might not have played a big role in it, but they certainly convinced Zinedine Zidane that perhaps it's time for him to leave Real Madrid. It was being reported that the Frenchman was cutting a forlorn figure and had lost his motivation at the club. Indeed, the current version of Real Madrid is in stark contrast from the glory years when Zidane first became the club's manager. The Champions League semi-final defeat at the hands of Chelsea was not an embarrassing one at all, but it did prove to Zidane what he might have been suspecting all along. The club's shine was coming off, and harsher times beckoned. A lot of managers in the past have had their reputations tarnished at Madrid. When Bernd Schuster won the team the Champions League title, it was not deemed enough, and the German tactician was shown the door. This isn't a club that waits around for silverware. Madrid expect to win every season, and a barren campaign is always seen as a failure. For some odd reason, Zidane bucks the trend. The legendary former playmaker resigned after the club competed a hat-trick of Champions League titles, and was then brought back after being convinced by Florentino Perez. However, Zidane knew better than to stay on at a club that is likely to go through some turbulent times in the coming months. That's why he decided to walk away rather than suffer the ignominy of being yet another manager whose efforts were deemed insufficient for the Spanish giants. So what happens to Madrid now? While they were initially linked with the move for Massimiliano Allegri, the Italian tactician is set to reassume the club's reins at the expense of former player Andrea Pirlo. It's now being claimed that Mauricio Pochettino is a prime candidate for the Santiago Bernabeu. The Argentine tactician is currently at Paris Saint-Germain, where he's reportedly not happy with how things are being done. Antonio Conte has also resigned from Inter Milan, but it's unlikely that he'll be joining Los Blancos. So, who do you think will become the next manager of Real Madrid for next season? And do you think that troubled times lie ahead for the club? Let us know in the comments section. Pirlo to face the sack. As we alluded to, Juventus are also set to make a managerial appointment of their own, with Allegri returning to the club after 2 years. Ironically, the 56-year-old is going to replace Andrea Pirlo, one of the players who helped Allegri define a new era in the club's history. Following a difficult campaign, Pirlo's position had already become untenable, with Fabio Paratici eager to act swiftly and call in a more experienced person for the tough role. Allegri left Juve back in 2019 and helped the club to 5 consecutive Serie A titles. He also led the Bianconeri to 2 Champions League finals. So where did it all go wrong for Pirlo? To be fair, you can't consider Juventus under Pirlo as a disaster campaign. Juve won the Italian Super Cup and the Coppa Italia. They relinquished their league crown after 9 years, and while this might be seen as a major blemish, Juventus were bound to lose their title at some point. However, it's in the Champions League where the main issues lie. Juventus have failed to win the competition so far, and it's worrying for the club's ownership, who have invested heavily in the last 5 years. Allegri might not have won a European title, but Juventus got closer to that under him. So the ownership will be thinking that perhaps Allegri will eventually make the prophecy come to pass. One of the biggest decisions Allegri has to make will be to sort out the future of Cristiano Ronaldo. The legendary forward is reportedly eager to move on, and despite scoring freely, hasn't helped the team's cause in Europe. And at the age of 36, Allegri knows that he can't risk seeing the Portugal international as the player he should build his squad around. Talking the Champions League final. Chelsea and Manchester City are set to throw curtains on their respective seasons when they lock horns in the final of the Champions League on Saturday. Pep Guardiola has won the competition 3 times, once as a player and twice as a coach. Unfortunately, he hasn't won the competition since 2011. Thomas Tuchel, on the other hand, will be managing his second Champions League final after his PSG finished runners-up to Bayern Munich last year. The German tactician would love nothing more than to cross the final hurdle in what could prove to be a defining moment in his promising managerial career. So let's take a closer look at some of the vital statistics for the showpiece match. This will be the third All-English Champions League final. The first one also involved Chelsea, who lost to Manchester United on penalties in 2008. Do you remember John Terry's iconic slip? A couple of years back, Liverpool beat Tottenham. Clearly, London teams don't seem to do well in all-English affairs, so the City faithful would be loving this stat. This will be the 14th occasion that an English club wins the Champions League. However, the Premier League is behind La Liga, who have 18 combined trophies. But we do feel that there's a power shift happening and English teams are getting stronger with every season. If Manchester City are able to win the final, they will become the 6th different English champion of the competition. Interestingly, no country has more than 3 different champions. This once again proves that the Premier League is getting stronger. But the task isn't going to be easy for City. Experience in such tournaments counts for a lot. In quite a few finals, Real Madrid never played free-flowing football, but the club's history does seem to matter a lot. While there might never be a rational explanation for this, first-time finalists have won the competition only 15 times and lost 26 finals. 50 of the remaining tournaments have been won by sides that have appeared in previous finals. Chelsea will be looking at this fact closely since they won the final in 2008 against Bayern Munich. That final is considered to be the reason why Eden Hazard left Lille to join the Blues ahead of the likes of Manchester United and Real Madrid. Among the 2 finalists, Chelsea's Olivier Giroud is the leading goalscorer with 6 goals this term. However, the experienced striker is unlikely to be given a lot of time to add to his tally in what could prove to be his final game for the Blues, provided he's used at all by Tuchel. Manchester City have scored 25 goals en route to the final, while Chelsea have scored 22. Both teams have boasted great defensive credentials, conceding just 4 times, so you can expect a rather cagey opening few minutes before both sides are forced to go full gear. Both teams have only lost once in this season's competition, which again proves that these two deserve to be in the final. Sometimes encounters of such magnitude can be defined by a rather boring ending. While United's penalty shootout defeat was anything but boring, we need to mention here that Chelsea have scored 5 penalties in the competition and 3 of them were dispatched by Timo Werner, who needs a good game for sure. Sergio Aguero has already bid his farewell to the club. The Argentine striker could be in line to make his 390th appearance for the club, which sadly would be his last. The veteran striker has scored 260 goals in all competitions for the Citizens and will be eager to give his fans one last parting gift. When it comes to match-winning performances, it's very important to give credit to goalkeepers. While strikers win you matches, great defences and a good keeper will win you titles. And this is exactly why 3 keepers across Europe's Big 5 stand tall today. Lille won the title and it was their number 1 Mike Maignan who kept 21 clean sheets. Similarly, Ederson has 19 clean sheets to his name, while Edouard Mendy has 16. However, the latter is in his first season at Chelsea and was terrific against Real Madrid in both legs. Due to the fact that both sides boast a great defensive record, don't be surprised if the game is decided by penalties. In fact, Chelsea's own shootout heartbreak can't be ignored. The Blues played their first Champions League final in 2008 and lost on penalties. Then they won the competition 4 years later at the expense of Bayern Munich on penalties. So you can expect the Londoners to feel a bit hopeful of the outcome if it comes to that. What do the bookies say then? The bookies are giving the edge to Manchester City to win the competition. They're the reigning English champions and have arguably the best team on the planet right now. Chelsea had a poor start to the season, but now they're in great form and they've already won twice against Guardiola's side. Single game finals always defy expectations. Players tend to be more cautious, defences operate with an air of paranoia, so clear-cut scoring opportunities become a rarity. Both teams hate conceding goals and both managers are tactically so good that they'll be looking to neutralise one another. In all honesty, the game could be like a chessboard with 2 smooth operators calling the shots. So if you're a betting man, bookies are giving Manchester City the edge. The game is unlikely to be an open affair and chances will be few and far between. Regardless of who wins, we would definitely be getting some true storylines. Is it going to be Aguero's swan song? Or is it going to be a moment of redemption for Thomas Tuchel, who was fired by PSG after guiding them to the final last year? Let us know who your pick is and make sure to subscribe. With the United Championships on the horizon, we've got some amazing things planned for you, so make sure to stay tuned for more coverage in the coming days.